How's it, guys? It's Dark Soul Ryusei. Welcome back to part 9 of the Demon Souls playthrough. You're gonna notice, of course, as per the norm, when we do our preparatory stuff at the Nexus, we're just gonna be going ahead and doubling up the recording speed by, or the footage speed by times 2. Now, with that aside, you're in for a real treat today, and let me tell you why. This is actually me doing some post-commentary over the preparation after the fact, but whether you've just joined in the playthrough, or you've stuck with me since the very beginning, thank you very much, because right now the sister project to the Demon Souls playthrough, Final Fantasy X Blind playthrough, is going so well that it seems that most of your attention is going there. Don't get me wrong, that's perfectly fine. You know, people will watch what they want to, and that's okay. Now, the reason I like to draw a lot of particular attention to this episode is because not only do we finally complete the preparations for our character that we're going to play through the rest of the game, but a lot of entertaining stuff had happened along the way as well. So many opportunities for me to finally really put my editing skills to work and make something very fun happen. In light, or rather in lieu of, something very catastrophic and detrimental to myself. But I won't spoil any more than that. Right now, in the meantime, I'm going ahead taking the time to finally put all of those Hearthstone shards and chunks to use by buffering up our shield. And I'm going to bring up the menu here in a second when we start doing that with Blacksmith Ed. You see right here, as we increase it, I'll show you the menu right now. It's a little bit hard with the speed up, but actually it's nearly impossible, what was I thinking? Every time we increase the stability, or rather, every time we increase the level of our shield, its stability is going to increase substantially, by 4 actually. Since it's a great shield, this is typically why you have one. Of course, because you because you get rid of the L2 parry effect, you exchange for a shield bash, but in exchange also, the Great Shield has tremendous stability, which means every time you take a hit, you take less of a penalty to your endurance, which is going to be great, because there's going to be a lot of heavy hitters at some point or another down the line. I would argue almost all of the bosses are going to be heavy hitters at some point, maybe excluding 1 or 2, but we'll get to those later, I digress. So as we come along here, after all this preparation, we're going to finally head to the last boss of one of the worlds. Now, when we remember at Ballas of Boletaria, we couldn't do that because it says we need a more powerful demon soul to pass through the colorless fog. And so that's exactly what we're going to go do here. You see me get the bow out, and I'm going to explain a little bit later in the boss fight why that is. Because the next boss fight is pretty interesting in more than one way. It's story-wise and personally, considering if you haven't played Demon Souls before, it's going to be quite an interesting encounter. So as we make our final setup here in our menu, we're going to go ahead and take on the last boss in Stonefang Tunnel. Coming in at the Flame Lurker's Archstone, we finally reach the very ends of the Stonefang Tunnel. And what was uncovered? But flame and shadow. Alright, there's my reference for the LP. Now, let's see here. I cannot recall if... Hello. I cannot recall the stupid pixels. If there is a... Actually, yeah, there is a fog door. What am I talking about? Well, we are going to be seeing a very... Well, not friendly, but a familiar face as we come across here. Or as we come over here to the end of the tunnel. And, well, there's no other way to put it, but let's just go through the door.
Archdemon. Dragon God.
Yes, it's our old friend! From the very beginning of the game. Oh, jeez. Anyway. Well, don't feel too bad. Aside from his gargantuan size and rather cool design, he's absolutely pathetic. I'm sorry, there's really no other way to put it. He's just a very pathetic boss. Well, I mean, it's just... he's a puzzle boss. And because of that is, well, so I'm not going to say that he's terribly easy, but in this particular case, how he was designed, yes, I'm afraid he is terribly simple. Now, granted, you walk a very fine line. Now, the real way to go about doing this is, well, there's two ways. Do this recklessly, or you can do it patiently. And from what you should probably have taken from the last part is that you should never lose your patience in the Souls game, even if you are a seasoned player. Then again, feel free to take some risks as necessary. It's not like anyone's watching you or recording it, right? You'll see what I'm doing is that I'm taking aim with my bow so that wherever my line of sight for my spellcasting will stay locked wherever I put the bow, just as I explained earlier. There's a very linear way to do this, albeit as opposed to Bed of Chaos, who I can easily sum up in one word if I had to, is infuriating. Which isn't to say that it's a bad boss, but it's definitely not a good one with how so many cheap shots he can do off of you, or it, or her, whatever. Now, the Dragon God, like I said, he's very simple. Not difficult in the slightest. Very linear as you go across these, or you have to go along these pathways. You just have to stay hidden. You see his eyes, they are red. That's because he caught a glimpse of me. His eyes will be red and they'll turn back to yellow when he's searching for you. Just go ahead and rush across, staying in the shadows. And he's very simple-minded. We get some, ooh, Newman Grass. That increases, or rather, it recovers a ton of health, but we're going to be saving that. Okay, good, it's not my slots. But yeah, puzzle boss. So, in this particular case, we have to reach, there's 3 points. Or secondly, there's 2 points, one on each side, to the right, to the left first. You have these ballistas here. And he cannot see when they're at their stations. I think it would have been more intense if he was like building up a major attack or fire breath attack while you were still at those positions, so you can just have all that time to just talk like I have. But yeah, look at how gargantuan this guy is. I mean, this is so much potential for an awesome boss, and it is rather disappointing, which is a shame to say. And of course, like any puzzle boss, he opens up the way to the next part along here. But yeah, like I was saying, I wish they would have made it to where, like, you know, give it some sort of intensity. Have it to where, like, okay, after you get to this ballista point, he's charging up an attack, and if you don't move to the ballista, like, within the next few seconds, he can probably just one-shot you. Kind of like how he cheap-shotted us in the beginning of the game. Stone of Ephemeral Eyes down here. Now, alternatively, because I have a Great Shield, I could just run up and shield bash the piles of rubble that are standing in our way. That's pretty much the gist of this boss fight. It's just to make you either you come in. Granted, in my first playthrough, what I did was that instead of using this little trick to just soul arrow the rubble, you run out there, give it a few whacks with your weapon, and run back. Because he is actually pretty lenient with how much time he separates between. No, don't cast. Well, I got distracted. He is pretty lenient with how much time. See, watch. To where he sees you. He's even looking. Wow. Oh, never mind. I guess that was a shadow. Or yeah, okay. He's pretty lenient about the time he sees it. He sees you. And ooh. Well, granted, I was being really silly about that, but yeah, you get the point. As long as you're on top of things relatively, even then, he's not gonna be a problem. So like I was saying, you come over here, bash it, run back, and yeah, you just barely made it. He'll roar a second time because he's rather dense. I mean, granted, his other half of his body is kind of impaled down to the ground over there, but I digress. So yeah, alternatively, you don't have to worry about using the soul arrows. Okay, rather the first time I did that, actually. Taking my own advice. The only time I actually knew, or rather the only way I knew to actually shield bash the rubble was actually in the practice run for this playthrough. Where at the very last piece of rubble, it's actually pretty easy to go ahead and just give it a whack with your weapon and just charge forward. Now, granted, in a speedrun of this game, this part's particularly infuriating because of this fact. I'm taking it slow. Now, the last bit of rubble is up there, and if you do, sometimes he does manage to hit you with his fire breath, but because of the brushwood armor, I really don't think this is going to happen. Yeah, he set off a flame, but yeah, just like before, once you pretty much make it up here, you're kind of good. There's a crystal over there, but you already know my feelings toward that. And let's just go ahead and finish this up. Yeah, that's it. That's the first Archdemon. I suppose it's kind of nice considering the Flame Lurker would be very terrifying and very difficult for first-time playthroughs. But yeah, he's totally bent. He's done. Okay, not 100% done, but he practically is. And then that's it. That's the third point, if you will. It's his head. Just give it a whack with his head. But we didn't bring our halberd with us. Well, that's because the whole point of us fighting through Stonefang Tunnel so adamantly is to have that huge, nice, shining beacon over Stonefang Tunnel right there. We have Pure White Tendency, or one step close to Pure White Tendency, and we can finally finish our Dragon Knight. But what Dragon Knight would be complete without his dragon weapon? Well, I do like this mechanic in Dark Souls, speaking of the Bed of Chaos, is that you can get the awesome dragon weapons, which are relatively rare and all unique, which is pretty cool. Some are better than others, but you got them from the cutting off the dragon's tail, which is a very big acknowledgement in mythology. A lot of warriors in multiple cultures got their dragon weapons by severing the tail of the beast they were fighting. Well, that's not the case here. Actually, you need to open up a way, or rather, because you have Pure White Tendency, you open up this way. Wait, what? Oh, it's closed! Oh, wow! I'm one away from opening up the area. I'm one away from... Apparently, I take that back. Apparently, I took one death too many. And... yikes. Okay, I need to find a way to increase my White World tendency by 1. And come back here, because if I finish off the boss, I cannot get our main weapon for the playthrough. This is terrible. This rubble is pretty much just keeping you locked out. And if you have Pure White Tendency, it's supposed to not be here when you enter, but technically speaking, after I beat this boss, which counts as a demon, of course, it'll go up 1, but as you've seen before, or as I've said before, unless I can't beat him, because then the weapon will be gone. So yeah, let me go and figure out how I'm supposed to solve this problem. I'll be right back. Well, as it turns out, unfortunately, there is no actual way for me to fix that, namely because of the time I'm actually playing the game. Now, the reason I say this is because, as of this recording, Dark Souls 2, the sequel to this game's sequel, is currently released. And so the only other way to increase my world tendency is to help somebody defeat an invader. Well, I tried to do that in our other file, and yes, I said other file. The reason I say this is because whether or not I was actually one away, I really cannot say for sure. Because as I went forward after so many failed attempts to get summoned, because due to either... I really don't think it's because I'm high enough level, because yes, if you're too high a level, you just won't be able... your summon sign won't be able to be seen. But honestly, I think it's just due to a plain lack of players, or they just weren't able to see. I mean, my signal strength is pretty darn weak. It was 30%. So I'm not sure. Either way, there was no actual way for me to officially defeat the boss and try and open the way, because even if I did beat him, it wouldn't have mattered because I died twice. Once because of the glitch, and once again because of my lack of patience. So as we go through again, what happens is that I started a new file, and I just well, okay, take it back. I didn't power play. It makes it sound like I went as fast as possible. I redid everything we needed to do to get back to the same position as our previous game. I did everything we need to do to get back to the same situation we were from the previous file. So yes, I went and did everything in the past videos up till now. And actually, I did so with even more success because I didn't die once in any way, shape, or form in any world. And I can actually prove this a little bit later because all of our Stone of Ephemeral Eyes are, well, I have so many of them. And I'll show you that a little bit later, but that's fine. I'm not too worried about people believing me or not. The point is, I'm just glad I was able to do it in relatively 2 quick sessions. It wasn't so bad. It's the benefit of knowing a game really well. Now, as you'll see right here, I'm just getting rid of some excess baggage because our weapon is going to weigh a lot. A lot. It's pretty darn heavy. You get the Master Rig, it's not too important. But as we move along here, speeding through the boss fight, thanks for the time to, thankfully, with the time to explain what's going on. It took about 2 or 3 hours, nothing incredible. Just thank goodness, because after this, World Tendency isn't going to matter so much. Granted, that's just for this playthrough. If you want other things that you can see on the wiki, weapons you want in the future, you might have to have World Tendency differences later. But right now, as you so epically draw our blade, we can't carry it. Anyway, like I said, this sucker is heavy. It's 20 units. So let's go ahead and put on the Ring of Great Strength and the Ring of Herculean Strength so we can lift this thing and equip it. We get the Dragon Bone Smasher. This weapon is awesome. It looks awesome. It looks like it feels awesome. Hell, it feels awesome even as you press all the buttons. It isn't just a great sword. It is an ultra great sword. And what's actually kind of cool is that you know, have it awesomely slung over our, just boss style, slung over our right shoulder. And when this thing hits, man, you could feel it. You just see it everywhere. Just awesome. I can't get enough of this weapon. And I'm really glad, because as soon as I went on the wiki, my first time playing through this, I didn't do it completely blind, no. I just knew. Actually, I saw a video, a PvP video from Demon Souls, and I saw someone just own face with this thing. And I said, whether or not it's a really good PvP weapon or not, I want that sword. It is so awesome. But anyway, I digress. Sorry about that. They're just starting to fanboy out there for a sec. The third and final phase of the Dragon God is kind of sort of summing up the whole fight at this point. It's rather pathetic. You come in here, drop on that ledge, get a soul element, but that breath of his is all he can to hurt you. It's just about timing now. That small point on his chin, that one spike, at least the rest of his head, that's all you gotta do to beat him. And look at that! Whack! Bam! And there he goes! That archdemon, dead!
You have obtained the Demon's Soul, a power that is beyond human imagination.
Oh, let me tell you, I was so glad to finally successfully gotten through it and have our character fully complete in that awesome moment. And every guy knows how to celebrate at the right time, and this is perfect!
You have obtained the soul of an archdemon. The thick, colorless fog shall oppress you no more.
And now would be the time to celebrate. In ode to our sister project, this is the perfect sound effect. Alright, guys, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling awesome. So, with that finally said and done, I will see you guys hopefully for part 10 of the Demon Souls playthrough, where we have the real Demon Souls. We'll start now. Okay, well, next time. You get it.